Today I'm going to do a video on who I think, at least, are the top 10 players from the Fireside TF2 LAN in Denver. Originally, like I said, I was going to do analysis on the lower bracket finals and the grand finals, but I lost the source file. I don't know what happened to it. So I can't really be asked to re-record it. So I'm just going to talk about who I think are the best players of this LAN, top 10 specifically. And I was thinking about doing a top 12 list because there's a lot of honorable mentions who I feel like just barely make the top 10, and I want to include them, but I'm just going to include them in honorable mentions at the end. Yeah, I think what made me want to make this video was the fact that this skill gap at this LAN particularly has been historically thin, with honestly any of the top 5 teams having, at least a decent chance at realistically winning the whole thing. And, with individual players being so neck and neck as well, I feel like some people may agree to disagree on some of my placements. Some of them might be surprising, some of them might not be. Personally, a lot of the placements are going to be splitting hairs, so I try my best to rank based off primarily advanced metrics, but you'll see why that's not always the most important thing. A lot of times the eye test is important, but obviously I also look on what role they play on their team, who they had around them, like their teammates. Obviously having shitty teammates is going to mitigate your personal accolades, so I am taking that into account as well, or trying my best at least. Also, I did watch a little under half the regular season matches, or I guess the round robin show matches, whatever you want to call them, that basically set up the playoff bracket. But I'm only really taking into account playoff numbers because that's when pressure is highest. That's the most important stage, and also that is a lot of stats to compile. But also that didn't really include. I basically only looked at the top 5 teams, which are from top to bottom is Witness EU, G6, Witness AU, Balls team, and then Froyotech, because a lot of the first playoff matches, a lot of them against the lower invite teams weren't really easy to gauge. A lot of the teams were just kind of fucking around, not playing their normal classes. Also playing lower invite teams can skew the data, and since the top 5 teams are really tight-knit competition, I basically just included the playoff matches with those, and there's already a handful of them, starting all the way at the first match between Balls team and Froyo. So yeah, so I'm kind of be looking at that. So I don't know, I guess I'll just say spoiler alert, everyone on this list is on one of the top 5 teams, top 5 finishes. No one on the outside is really present on this list, or really in my honorable mentions. So that is just a spoiler right there. So without further ado, here are my rankings. So at number 10, I have Artist. Spoiler alert, this is the only NA demo on this list, so we're starting off on an already controversial pick. So I'm gonna get that matter out of the way first. Khabib, is he better all time? Yeah, no fucking shit. I have him as the best demo in NA, and he's probably arguably the best demo of all time, or at least in that conversation. Worst case is a top 2 demo of all time. Now Khabib, he's not on my top 10 list, and I don't even know if he would quite frankly make my top 15 list with how severely underwhelming his performance was at this LAN. Very disappointing. Someone with a legacy such as his, you would expect nothing but utter dominance coming from him, but that was not the Khabib that we saw, the Khabib that we're used to. Now Khabib was on the lower end of received heals for demos on this map, but only marginally. Yet in comparison to the other demos, in the other top 5 teams, he's the lowest in DPM. He had the lowest combined DPM. He had the lowest air shots by a huge margin. He had some maps where he didn't even get a single air shot. I know that's not the most important statistic, but you can see he's not hitting his shots, and he's the only top 5 demo with a negative KD in this entire playoffs. And the matches show that too. The amount of times I see this guy get caught and juggled and fragged, and it's just detrimental to his team. He was dying too much, feeding, missing a shit ton. Even a lot of Ubers, like a lot of the Ubers, especially at mids, like you don't see him really getting any value out of them, which is not always his fault, but that is a factor. Like he is a factor in those Ubers not going to fruition a lot of the time, especially relative to the other demos, right? So really, like, with that all being said, he's out of my top 10 pretty decisively. Now, I do also have artists in front of Logan. Like I said, only NA demo on this list, so like I was struggling trying to determine who I should put ahead of who, but ultimately I gave it to artists because honestly, in a vacuum, and not taking any accolades into account, I think artists and Logan are pretty interchangeable in skill on demo. But artists had some he had like better counting stats than Logan, and he did that on a less unified and more flaw prone team with less heals too. So I mean, Logan did a little better on DPM, but like eye test wise as well, like I just saw artists hitting like more meaningful shots when it mattered more. And even looking at the stats, he had twice as many air shots, twice as many med picks, you know. And on their head-to-head match, where, you know, the one where Balls managed to pull a map off them, artist, he out-damaged Logan pretty decisively, and he had like way more med picks, better counting stats, and he made a lot more space, like eye test wise, than Logan could on their little head-to-head in the playoffs. So artist does get placed here. I would say just barely above Logan, but I do think at this LAN, like I said, this is just ranking them how they are at this LAN. Like, this is not where I rank these players all the time, of course, right? This is just for this LAN, so people are aware. I'm not saying artist is a better demo than Logan all time, or like in general. Like, we're just talking specifically in this LAN alone. I think artist played better than Logan. So number 9, we have Silva. Okay, so arguably, I think he's the most clutch scout of this LAN. This guy was able to get behind enemy lines several fucking times to get a clean med or demo pick, even getting a back cap against was it Ball's team to win the round, and then eventually that won the map, right? So Silva was just very slippery, especially against like the NA teams like Balls and Froyo. It felt like he could be around any corner when he least expected it, right? He just was pulling so many fucking Starkies, bro. Like, considering how polarizing of a scout Cookie is, like, I think it surprised me a lot to see Silva outperform him. Like, I'll straight up say it, Silva outperformed Cookie. Cookie's not even on this fucking list, by the way. Another spoiler alert, I guess. I mean, the guy, Silva was like, he was averaging more DPM than Cookie on way less heals, by the way. It was like a lot less heals, and he by far and wide, he had the most crucial picks and med picks, like, honestly, for any scout of this LAN. Arguably, I would say, but, you know, at least I think you can make the case for that being him. Like, I think you can make the case he was one of the most, or the most clutch scout, if not, or one of the most clutch scouts, if not the most, I would say, at this LAN. So he was really good. Number 8, Connor. Honestly, you could swap Silva's placement here, and I wouldn't really argue against it. Both were like very impactful players for Witness AU. But I think Connor did a lot more with what his role kind of allows, or I guess restricts him to do. Like, you know, as many med picks as Silva had, Connor just blew the competition out of the water in that metric. Even with like Soldier being a more med pick heavy class, like he was averaging, I think it was something like, when I checked the statistics, it was like 0.7 more med picks per map, and then the next Soldier down the line. Him and Silva complement each other like really well, and but if I'm gonna take one or the other, it's gonna be a slight favorite for Connor. He just played like a beast, you know. He was playing it smart. He was getting a lot of crucial picks. He had like 2 or 3 or so maps where he got like a dozen med picks alone, and a handful of those were like drops, right? He was dropping a lot of medics, and he was easily, in my opinion, making the most with his Soldier bombs than like any other Soldier at this LAN. Straight up, I think he was. So yeah, that's kind of where I have him. And at number 7, I got Poppy. Again, the competition is, you know, it's just super skin tight. You can kind of like interchange these players if you want, But I think what caught my eye with Poppy more was just his overall combination of both incredible dominance and amazing consistency. Like his stats were great each map with like little deviation. I honestly think he's like the most complete soldier at this LAN, like particularly at this LAN itself. Like you got the frags. I think he had like the most frags for any soldier at this LAN. Amazing game sense, great positioning on basically all the maps, amazing jumps, high volume and crucial med picks. I mean, he did everything, and he did it at a high level, like even in high pressure situations. So I mean, he showed up more than any other soldier in the Grands, which by many metrics was actually like his best series. So he's a playoff riser. You know, he doesn't fold under high pressure situations. Combined with everything else I said, like that's why I got Poppy not only on number 7, but honestly like number 1 in soldiers at this LAN. So yeah, there's no more soldiers on this list. I do think in a vacuum there are maybe like 1 or 2 soldiers at this LAN who I believe like are like intrinsically better than Poppy, but like remember, like I said, I'm just going off like this particular LAN, and you know, on the biggest stage he remains to be the best soldier when it comes down to brass tacks. So you know, congratulations to him on that. Number 6 is Benny. Okay, so probably the most controversial pick on the list. I think it's the fact that most people either have him ranked higher or have him completely off the list. I think that's kind of what it is, and I have him just barely out of the top 5. I think having him off the list, like completely off the list, I think that's criminal. Yeah, he finished 5th, but it's a team game, you know, and a majority of his teammates either played down to the expectations, you know, such as Brand Slam or Laz. They're kind of like LAN droppers, or you got like Khabib and Hubada who just like didn't show up, you know. And ironically, Patty was like the only other Froya member outside Banny who I feel like played well, or you know, at least up to their expectations, right? But I mean, back to the Bandman, you know, despite these discrepancies in team results, he had really good individual stats and counting stats. He had the 2nd best overall KD, not just for scouts, but for any class period. He was 1st in KDA. He did exceptionally well on the off class as well. He wasn't a sniper like a lot of people were, but he had the highest volume of backstabs, most of them being like med picks or crucial picks, which, you know, I guess is like ironic for an NA spy player, but you know, he clutched up on spy. He's got the 2nd most med picks per map for this whole playoffs, just behind Silva, which, you know, is pretty impressive itself for a pocket scout, especially for Banny, who plays, you know, a really conservative mama bear like playstyle. So, you know, so yeah, Banny isn't really known on scout for his flashy plays like, you know, some other scouts, but he's like, just time and time again, he outplays so many people just off his ruthless execution and mindset. So yeah, you know, like I said, you know, Unk still got it. If his team played more closely with how we expected them to be, I think he would be even higher, most likely. But you know, he's the GOAT. But what already puts Banny so high, considering Froytek's, you know, lackluster playoff performances, is the guy just adds so much more value to his team than really any other player this LAN, save for maybe number 5 on this list, which brings me to Jay. I think we all knew, you know, Jay was going to be on this list, and I think everyone knew that, you know, he was going to be amazing at LAN, which he was, especially playing alongside Slemish on Scout, you know. Jay, he did the best he could with what he had, you know. And although likewise with Froyo as well, I think his 4th place finish was, you know, just as disappointing, considering, you know, both him and Banny are considered to be like transcendental players, right? Like I literally have both these players in my top 3, like players of all time, like straight up. Like I got Jay at 3, Banny at 1, and I actually said in my pre-analysis video that if Jay clutched up and carried his team to an international LAN win, he'd be number 2 on my all-time list, like just ahead of Stark. But unfortunately, or fortunately for EU players, that didn't happen. But yeah, Jay was Jay at this LAN, you know, straight up. His team didn't suffer at all because of him. It was not him. You know, despite his lack of supporting casts. Shut up! Damn. Despite his lack of supporting cast, in relation, you know, to the top couple of teams, he was, you know, still able to find room to make explosive, impactful plays, you know, many times in high pressure situations, whether you want to point like you know, to the clips upon clips of like clutch sniper plays he had in the playoffs, or his explosive scout plays. I don't know, how about that the mid fight against Froyo on Sunshine, where, you know, where they're down a player and, you know, they have no right being in that fight. Jay just finds an opening, you know, and seals a couple of frags, and he just does shit like that left and right all the time, right? And just like the case with Banny, if he had a better supporting cast, and or if some, you know, teammates showed up instead of getting cold feet, I think he could be higher. I think he would be higher. But obviously, you know, this being a team game, lackluster teammate performance can easily skew personal stats and impactfulness. But even with all those discrepancies, he still managed to stick out above almost everyone else. The dude straight up, he's just in a bad situation, you know? His stats were really good. He was third overall, most DPM per scout, third in KD. I mean, even in their lower bracket loss to Witness AU, he still out-damaged the enemy scouts. You know, as I mentioned earlier, he had the off-class game on lock as well, you know? I feel like if he had just, like, one more transcendental player, maybe someone like, I don't know, who's someone good who's not there, who wasn't there. Marmalou. Well, Marmalou's there as a commentator, but you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't there as a player. Like, if he had just one more really good player, I feel like they could have performed better, and I really think they could have made it a lot further. But I think it was just like his soldier duo was a bit lacking. Not bad at all, but just when you compare that soldier duo to like Kobe and Soapy, Downseek and Connor, Hugo and Poppy, like, they're just not as good, you know? So they're no ways bad, but just in relation to those other soldier duos, they're just lackluster. You know, so you know, so legendary player, but, you know, due to factors out of his control, he can't be higher. And honestly, what put him above Banny for me was literally just the fact that his team edged out Froyo in the playoffs. Like, yeah, Froyo nearly swept them in the regular season. But on the biggest stage, you know, where the game matters most, they managed to squeak by barely, you know, which puts Jay at 5. All right, number 4, I got Lucas. So I don't know where to start, bro. Like, I did not expect Lucas to. I did not expect him to be the best demo at this LAN. I mean, shit, bro. Like, not only did he out damage all the other demos by miles, but he has like the single highest most DPM out of any other player, like at this LAN, period. Like, this dude was a straight up LANimal at this tournament. He checks off highest DPM, best KD, most total kills on demo. He had like some crazy shit like 50 more kills in the next fucking playoff demo, which is a fucking insane. Like, he's like the best at almost every metric on demo at this LAN, and he's doing it on less heals than Logan and Artis have gotten, and he's just a certified beast. That's all I can really say. And his consistency was arguably the best amongst any other player on a map by map basis. He just showed up more often, I feel, just off the eye test, and he's severely underrated. At least, I guess, to me, because like I didn't see him being the best demo or really the second best demo at this LAN, so I severely underrated him. I think this LAN win, I think that deserves to have him included in some serious like EU demo conversations. I think he really proved himself at this LAN. He played really exceptionally well. He was a huge factor to he was a huge cornerstone to Witness EU's success at this LAN. So yeah, only good things about him. All right, number 3, I got BotMode. All right, so BotMode is like the epitome of the eye test at this LAN, and one of those like rare examples where stats and the match logs don't really do any justice for him. Like, for a top 3 player at this LAN, he's only 5th in scout DPM. He's 7th in both KD and KDA, you know, in the amongst the top 10 playoff scout performers. But a large part of that is due to his abundance of off-classing, particularly on Sniper. This guy's like, or only on Sniper, I think. I don't remember him going on Spy, but regardless, this dude absolutely popped off on Sniper. And then he said to himself, fuck it, I'm gonna just like run this shit the rest of the grands. And running Sniper for as long as he did, you know, essentially it like artificially handicapped most of his counting stats. and that's kind of like what the eye test comes in clutch for, right? Like where his teammates, like where his teammate Caps, where he was like, you know, dealing an absolute fuck ton of damage with you know, subpar frag count. BotMode's kind of like the opposite, you know, low DPM logs but a lot more kills on average, and arguably having the most amount of crucial kills this playoffs, unless you want to like argue that against Silva, right? But this guy was going on like 6, 7, 8, 9 long kill streaks, and like he had a lot of moments where he was like even more explosive than Jay, bro. Straight up, which is also partially why he gets the scout edge here over Jay. I mean, like every time BotMode got a kill, it seemed like I would look up and he was already on a massive kill streak. He just had so many big moments, most of them being on the biggest stage, by the way, you know, where pressure is at its absolute highest and your performance matters the most. He was lethal all around throughout the playoffs, especially on the COF maps. Like he was finding ways to get behind and get some like the clutchest plays imaginable. Like literally the first map of the Grands, this motherfucker, he wipes the whole enemy team on Bagel. And some of these changes are 1v1s. Like he's just fucking holding W on this team. He was beasting it like way more than the numbers were making it to be. And I haven't even gotten to a sniper yet. Like absolute banger. You can make the case he even outsniped Jay this LAN, you know, who's like, you know, the GOAT sniper. Like this dude, he sent, what was it, on product? He sent Tomas back to spawn like 3 times in a row. Like, bro, that's fucking crazy. He gets a med pick on sniper. It's like he was hitting every fucking shot at the first half of the map. Like even hitting back-to-back headshots on quite literally on the Poppy and Ixie. Like he was just hitting so many shots, shot after shot after shot. Like I'm not even trying to glaze. Like it was really that good. What else? Like he got a mean headshot on Poppy. Like when he was trying to fucking jump away, he got a fucking air shot headshot Poppy when he's trying to jump away to safety. You know, he was just dominating a sniper, like so much so they tried to diff him on sniper and they couldn't. You know, so like if we solely made this list off of like the highest peak at this LAN, I think it was easily BotMode. Not BotMode, BotMode. I think BotMode had like easily some of the best plays at this LAN. Like he's just so fucking good at LAN. But the reason why he doesn't rank any higher for me is because live by the sniper, die by the sniper, because he got a little too greedy. His Viaduct sniper, it only worked so long. It Witness quickly adjusted. You know, his sniper was really only sustainable for like 2 or 3 rounds until it just kept on getting caught out, or you know, or spotted early. And you can make the argument his lack of scout play on that second half contributed to their map loss, because you know, bro was offclassing like 50% of the time, the entire map, and they only lost 4 to 3. I feel like when he was hot, they were up, right? And as soon as the adjustments were made to counter him, they never adjusted back accordingly, and they choked that lead. They fucking choked their lead, bro. It was a 2-0 lead. They choked it. So, you know, you have that, and then you have that shit. Oh, you have that shit on goalie last. Goalie watch last. You know, they could have taken that whole entire map. The whole map. I'm being dead ass. And BotMode moved. He didn't move off the point. Like, yeah, it's all in the moment. You know, the tension is wild. But man, if BotMode stepped off that point, right, and he waited for the timer to go down so they wouldn't go into overtime, we would have been looking at a 5-map series, and we could have been looking at a potential G6 victory. Like we could have seen G6 pulling through with the win. And you know, the decider map was Metalworks, and had that been, you know, a map they went to, I think that would have been in their favor. Like I feel like they're better at that map than Witness EU, who almost missed the whole Grands on Metalworks if it weren't for like clutching up in an overtime win, which was like a winner go home situation against a Witness AU. So yeah, BotMode, he single-handedly sold that map on accident, obviously, and you know, but he sold it, and he also possibly sold an international LAN title, which would be his like very first one. Everyone on his team would have had their first international LAN title. So you know, because of that play, or I guess lack of play, you know, because of not getting off the point, and allowing Witness to come back, tie it up, and then win the next round. After that, you know, I can't put him any higher. Like that was like his performance at this LAN was like all-time clutch, followed by all-time unclutch, and because of that, I just can't rank him any higher, you know. But, you know, he still had really good moments. So number 2, I have Tomas. You know, maybe a surprise to some. I don't think it should be. Like, he's just such a reliable and consistent player, man. Like to me, he seemed to be the backbone of that team. You know, he was always just dealing so much damage. He was second in overall DPM for scouts. It was only like 2 or 3 DPM shy of being first. I think Caps had first, but he makes up for that small discrepancy and like averaging, you know, 6 more kills than Caps, which is like only 1 kill shy from like Cookie to lead that category as well. You know, he was just always there when he needed to be. He was just great. He had remarkable positioning. I severely underrated how his DM would be at his LAN. And he won a majority of his, you know, scout v scout exchanges. He just seemed to be kind of like what I said with Poppy. He just kind of seemed to be the most complete scout of this LAN with, you know, near perfect consistency, tournament high scout DPM, you know, amazing game sense. He had the off classing. He had clutch plays individually as well. You know, I think some scouts had better like 1 or 2 off, you know, moments and like better peak performances, but like Toe was just there when he was needed. Like he was just more consistent. You know, he stayed alive when he needed to be. You know, he never really got too greedy or selfish, or underestimated the competition. And you know, just because of that near longevity, you know, and reliability throughout these entire playoffs, and you know, the regular season too. Not that that really matters to me. You know, I just can't possibly say he didn't have the best scout performance at this LAN. Like I think overall, he was the best scout overall at this LAN. When it comes down to it. Some of you might disagree on that, and I think it's okay. Honestly, I think I could see why you would say someone like BotMode or maybe Jay is better. Like I do think, obviously outside this LAN and just like all time, yeah, I do think like in a vacuum Jay is a better scout than Tomas. If I was playing like pickup TF2 and I was like, you know, picking my player, yeah, I would pick Jay first in a heartbeat. But at this LAN, bro, Tomas performed like the best. He had the best performance, so you know, you got to give that to him. You got to give him that number 2. And number 1, I have LOL guy, a medic, the only medic on this list, and probably the most, well, it is the most unexpected placement if you're a hater, because honestly, bro, fuck everyone who underrates medics and say they can't be ranked, you know, next to damage class players. That's like those NFL fans, bro. You know, they say like the kicker shouldn't be indicted into the Hall of Fame. Same shit, bro. This medic, we're witnessing greatness. Okay, I recognize greatness, and I'm not gonna like exclude that from this video just because his gun shoots medicine, bro. Like in a vacuum, and I always say that a lot, but in a vacuum, this guy, this is the best medic to ever play, hands down. Better than Hard Blue, better than Shade. Fuck, bro. Like, I even think he's better than Raymond. Like until he wins international LAN, I don't think most other people will have him as like the GOAT medic. But I'm not most people, and I think he's already there. I think he's already proved he's there. Like he's already the GOAT medic in my eyes. He's just unbelievable. Go to spatial awareness, mechanics, movement, all at LAN too. I feel like he arguably played better at LAN than he normally does. Like considering Witness won the fucking Grands in a gentleman's sweep fashion. Auto had 6 drops. Their medic had 6 drops. Okay, guess how many Law Guy had? Fucking 0, bro. 0. Dude, you cannot make this shit up. Like for fuck's sake, he only had 1 drop his entire playoffs. And then you got like regular deaths. Way ahead of the rest of the medic curve at this LAN as well. When it comes to like that, you know, he got like over 3 deaths less per map than the next medic behind him. Like I don't know how you can keep him off this list, if not the top 1. And then you look at like outside this LAN, G6 improved so much more when they replaced Howard. Like they went from losing to Froyo, getting swept by Fro, mind you, in the RJ Grand Finals to landing 3 spots ahead of them in the playoff bracket. So yeah, the Law Guy is the best player at this LAN. He's the best medic ever, and he's the best medic at this LAN. Best player at this LAN too. Like he just showed the fuck up. I think he puts every other medic here to shame, bro. Straight up. So yeah, Law Guy, I have him as the best player at this LAN. If you don't like that, as a medic at number 1, fuck you. You know, it's my list. Honorable mentions. Let me think. Oh, okay, I'll say Logan. Artist edged him out. I'll throw Enrith in there as well. I'm not gonna fucking throw Khabib in honorable mentions. That was a lackluster performance. I'll throw in Hugo. Down. Can't forget Down. I wanted to put Down on my top 10, but I just couldn't. But you know, Down's really good too. Maybe Laz, but then the thing is like he underperformed, right? Like I don't want to put people who underperformed, even if they're like really good. Laz got a lot of bid picks. I remember that, but he underperformed, man. Cookie, I guess you could probably say Cookie's an honorable mention. And I'll say Patty. You know, I'll give Patty some love. So, yeah, there you go. There's my video.